Hello again, everyone. It's Vince, and this is our update for January 20th, 2026. Let's take a look at what was a very red day here to start the week. It is a short week, but not quiet by any means. The Dow down 881 points, closing just off its low of the day. The S&P down 147, while the Nasdaq was down a whopping 559 here, breaking out of this little wedge. And the Russell down 32 points here off its lows. Now, if we look at crude oil, it was up 1.7% or a dollar two. Now, you know, I'd be more excited about a move to the upside here if there wasn't as much activity overhead as there is. I mean, there's a lot of activity overhead here on the crude chart. Excuse me, let me just get rid of something here. There we go. Um, there's a lot of activity, excuse me, overhead, but otherwise, this is a pretty nice formation. We're in this downward channel and we break above. Yes, we come up, we hit resistance, we pull back, but we hold support here so far anyway. So if we can come back and take out the high of Jan 14th, there's likely going to be more upside here, but it isn't going to be an easy road ahead for crude. Now, the metals, I mean, what can you say? They just continue to rip higher. Gold up 170 today, a new high. Silver also a new high, up 610 here to 94.63. Bond yields were also higher in the 10, 20, 30 year treasuries, significantly higher here. We're now at 4.92 on the 30 year. The dollar was down. That took a hit, a sizable hit. Now it finished off its low, but still a good hit for the day. And the VIX finishing north of 20 here, 20.08, up 6.5%. If we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin down over 3,000 right now, sitting right on that lower trend line. If it breaks, I think that will certainly result in more downside. And Ethereum down 195 here, sitting at the lows of this key level. So this is getting interesting as well. Now, if we look at economic calendar here, we did have the ADP employment change weekly. That was down slightly, not a big deal there. Tomorrow, pending home sales. The bigger numbers come out on Thursday. We get GDP, initial jobless claims, PCE. So that will be interesting later this week. For now, the CME Fed Watch tool here is predicting a 95% chance that the Fed will hold rates steady at their next meeting on Jan 28th. Now we have, another week or so ahead of that meeting, so things can certainly change. But that is the consensus right now. We also have earnings season going on. And, we're starting to get into the thick of it here. We still have a lot of the big names to come, but some are headlining here. Netflix today. Let's see if Netflix came out here with their earnings. I believe they did. Yeah, now we're down about 4.5%. Not a huge drop, but the numbers haven't been posted, at least not on TradingView yet, but they are out and we are down slightly. Interactive Brokers also releasing earnings. Not sure if they're out yet. Those seem pretty quiet, so I'm not sure if they're out. I don't see any numbers there. And United Airlines as well. And yeah, I'd say those are out, and those are up nicely, up almost 4% after hours. Now we will get some bigger names as we go through here. Tomorrow we get J&J, Halliburton, Schwab, and then on Thursday we get PG, GE, ABT, FCXO, Intel, Capital One. So it's going to get interesting. And of course, the following week it just heats up and we get more and more. So let's look forward to that. Now, I do have a few charts that I want to look at here, and here they are. One potential to the long side that I'm looking at is Merck. And here we are. Now, we don't have another reentry yet. We've had a couple since this buy, which has worked out nicely here. But what caught my attention here is this candle. We open lower, we gap slightly lower, we dip below the 20, and then we come back, and we more than make up for those losses. And on a day that was this deep in the red, that's a pretty good sign here. That's a nice sign of strength. So, when we look at the weekly and we look at the monthly, there's still room to go here. We're pretty much in the clear, not a lot of resistance overhead at all. And so I'm liking Merck here and, waiting for another reentry here patiently. But this looks pretty good to me. We have a number to the short side. We have XLK, which is the ETF for the NASDAQ, for the tech companies. And here we are, we come out of this little wedge, what's not so little actually, and close pretty much at the low of the day. Now we're waiting for follow through, but, and of course, this isn't one where you're going to get alignment from all three time frames. The weekly, we actually broke below the 20 there on the weekly, but the monthly we're still well above here. But, breaking out of that wedge, if we follow through, we're likely headed to these prior lows here. First one near 140, and the next one closer to 133. So that's what we could look forward to near term. And then we've got CDW. It's also one that's breaking out to the short side. So we had a gap here and a close below that prior low. Now, why do I like this one? I mean, it is a little far from the 20, yes, but the trend is very strong to the downside. A series of lower highs, lower lows, nice slope, downward slope on the 20. But if we look at the weekly, we had this key level we were watching. We dip below, we come back, retest it successfully, and today is the confirmation day, right? We clear that prior low, and here it is. This is the real reason. There is not a whole lot down here. There's a nice gap in support that I like here. So this one should continue downward. Then we have Paychex, Payx. And Paychex also, has been on a sustained downward move. And now we hit support here and we start channeling. And now here we are, clearing the lows of this recent range, closing out near the low of the day. And here we go. I mean, on the higher time frame, on the weekly, we had put this key level a little lower than where we are now, but we're pretty close. I'd put that around 105. We're at 107 and a half, so 2.5 points. And we clear that, we could easily from there be headed from 105 down south of 90 or to about 88 before we find any other support. And beyond that, we're likely to find a lot less support is what I was trying to say. So if we can clear 105 to the downside, I think we go to around 88 and then from there much lower. So that has potential to the downside. And lastly, which is my favorite of the day, is MSTR, Strategy Inc., and that is for a short. Now, let me be clear here. The 20, the way I see it, is flat. And so if we have a flat or negative, a flat 20 or going against the direction that we're trading in, we need one of two things to happen. One is we need to close below a prior low. We're not quite there yet, but we're very close. The other is to clear the 20, then come back and retest it, which we have not done either. So this is early. This isn't, an official trigger according to the rules of Victory 2. But if we clear the low here from a few days ago, January 12th to be exact, and the low is 154.69. then I think we really have the potential to move. Again, this is one that's just been beaten down. I mean, we've gone from a high of around 460 down to 160 here. Now, we've been more or less consolidating for a month and a half, and now we get another sell trigger. If we look at the weekly and we look at the monthly, there's room for this to go. There's not a whole lot of support here. So we could quickly go from 160 down, to 50 or less. Even, if we look at here, these prior highs in and around the 90 area, going from 160 to 90, that's a 70-point move. There's a lot of potential room for this to drop. So I will be waiting patiently for this to clear these lows. But if it does, that'll look really good to the downside. So again, these aren't recommendations. They're just what I'm looking at. But those are a few. And, now we've got to wait and see how these charts react. Yeah, we're below the 20 here on the Dow. We're below the 20 on the S&P, on the NASDAQ, on the Russell. Well, not the Russell yet. Sorry, I stand corrected. But that's only on the daily time frame. The higher time frames are still above, still looking decent. So it is very, very early on. And in all likelihood, the concerns over, Trump's latest tariff threats over Greenland and et cetera will settle down. But, we've got to just take this one day at a time and continue to keep a close eye on the charts. What we did see today was volume. There was volume behind this move. So we can't completely ignore it. But again, we're still in a decent position here, and we'll keep an eye out on things as we go. Now, just a reminder, we had a chat earlier today because we're not available tomorrow. So there will not be another chat tomorrow, but there will be, as scheduled, on Friday at 1 p.m. So hope to see you there on Friday. But until then, enjoy your evening, and we'll see you on our next update. Take care.